My name is Declan Billington. I'm the Managing Director of John Thompson and Sons, a feed mill in Northern Ireland that processes about 800,000 tonnes of feed a year, and we service about 40% of the feed market. Most importantly, we're a supplier to a number of key food processors that supply the supermarkets. Many years ago, when supply chains were built, they were built on the basis that they screened for problems that happen naturally. Problems with maybe contamination in the soil or the water, or accidental contamination. But if you think about how fast the world is moving, that if a country in Asia or in Africa or wherever runs into a problem with contamination, that a few thousand tonnes could be a few $1 million of a problem. You have to ask yourself, will they dig a hole and put it in the ground? Or will they try and slip it through the supply chain? And the structure of supply chains today is there's one point at which everything is checked. If you can slip it past that point, there is a great deal of exposure because all the upstream processes rely and trust on their colleagues. One breach and there's a high likelihood it'll arrive on the farm long before it's detected in the chain. In terms of preventing food fraud, I think that we need to move forward and recognise that it exists, and at every step in the chain we should be putting in controls, surveillance controls, not to repeat the work that's done in the first step, but more to give us a reasonable chance that if something is trying to be washed through the chain, we catch it, and we catch it before it becomes endemic, and we catch it before it gets onto farm. The challenges are basically the sheer volume of material that exists, the number of origins, the science in terms of testing, and it could take weeks to get an answer, and you cannot have weeks of material held up in a chain. So the challenges are to develop the techniques that allow you to carry out a great deal of surveillance quickly, at little cost, because these are still commodities, that allow us to manage a problem before it moves to the next step of the chain. There are a number of critical stages in the process. One of them would be a port of arrival. You have an opportunity to screen before it enters into the supply chain. So what port side techniques can be done to screen ships? We've seen events where on average the ship is okay, but 10% of it is effectively dangerous. So how do we screen at the port before it's unloaded? And there are certain rapid tests, NIR, Raman technology, those pieces of equipment that are being developed today that may allow you to do rapid testing at that point in the chain, and effectively if you go and test something, that you have the ability to do positive release, and not that you test something and 3 weeks later find you have a disaster on your hands. Further down the process, when we actually make feed, you have the ability to put gauges in your process, NIR for example, and today a lot of businesses use them to check nutrition. Tomorrow we could be fingerprinting the food and checking the fingerprints to see if on a database they contain toxins. If you have a problem, it can come in two forms. It can come in something that is dangerous to the health of an animal or a person, and it come in the form of something that breaches legal limits, but because it's a one-time breach doesn't present a problem. And the fear of finding something that is a technical breach where the regulators will fall heavily on you and create millions of pounds of costs, I think dissuade people from looking. When in fact I'd rather sleep in my bed at night knowing that I managed a problem than I turn the other way and saw the destruction of my industry in my country. We need solutions that are real time, that if material passes a point that we can check, that when you check it you have an answer. So we need speed, we need the equipment to be affordable, and we need the people operating them to be semi-skilled and not scientists in their own right.